Guys, last May 13, 2019, Filipino citizens have the chance to vote for their chosen candidates for the country. Especially here in Northern Samar, people are very excited to shape their chosen candidate. Remember that most of us, whether we like it or not, are interested in power and money. So choosing the next leaders to put in power is very important for our country, because even if we are just one person, we are still one person and we can do something just by casting our vote. I do not agree with everything that I will say, but this will serve as a guide and a lesson for you in case you are still confused to who you are voting. So kahit tapos ng eleksyon, here are still the 5 steps in choosing a good candidate. Enjoy! Choosing a right candidate. Step 1. Know your candidates. Knowing your candidates involve researching their educational background and any criminal records they have. Step in picking a candidate is to know the issues you care about and the qualities you want in a leader. You may be the most careful observer of all. Step 2. Don't vote just for the sake of money. Vote buying involves the individual, immediate, and private exchange of goods, services, or cash for electoral support, usually in violation of legal norms. Step 3. Has integrity. Candidates should be measured not on the promises they make left and right during campaign, but on their moral uprightness. A candidate without integrity makes empty promises. Step 4. Has genuine passion to serve. President, Vice President, mayors, and all other officials are there to serve, not in words but in action. Step 5. Go and vote. It is very important to remember that you are a voter and you have the right to choose who you want to vote. Ano yung nahanap mo sa sayo ng kandidato and why?
Kung naroon na yan na patakalan sa okay. Kung naroon na takbo yan na sa government, kailangan na na dili na corrupt nga kahit politician, para dili na ulo naganap dito ng mga corruptions na nagaganap sa Philippines nga nagiging sa ulat nga senteng nga pag-bully or pag-hataas sa poverty station.
Ang hingyap ko sa'yo na kandidato, ang dirila puro bagaw magsaay, kundi ginaaksyonan na hindi mo kanano ang kanyang isaay. Ngan, ang pinaka-importante ang maduduukan sa mga tao sa oras nga kinahanglanan siya. Ngan, ang hingyap niya ang kaupayan sa katanan.
The persons who are going to vote for in the coming election will be candidates who have, a good track record. Those who have done something significant. Contributions to the community and to the Philippines, to the country as a whole. I would definitely vote for someone with integrity, a person who I know has a history of standing by his or her principles, who puts the country first before political affiliations and all that. I would vote also for someone who is honest, who has no any record of corruption or even affiliations or associations with people who have record of corruption. I'd definitely vote for someone who is open-minded. I don't think at this period in our country, I don't think being conservative really works. I mean, we have to think about there are so many issues that the country faces, and a legislator must be able to be open-minded and come up with solutions to problems. These are changing times, and a leader must be able to adapt to the times. And I'm definitely not going to vote for someone who is a misogynist, someone who has a difficulty accepting the LGBT community. I want someone who has a vision for the country, and not only for himself or herself. That's it.
Koan, akong mga karuyag nga as a voter, karag ko ang mga candidates na ako i-vote is tangkod-good sa gobyerno and may malasakit. Balito? May malasakit. Tapos maara makihalubilo sa kasi tao, bisan mayaman o pobre. Dari la puros bagaw, dapat action good. Dapat ginahimo niya ra kung nano ako makinandatang, di ba? Iba, drawing ito. Tun. Nano. Kay, for the sake of our, community dito, for our, for the sake of our community and, to change our progress of our government better.
It's gonna go better tapos.
Tapos sa bobo.
Tawin nagdaw kasi ako kapag
Karagon ito, makabulig ko sa mga pobre.
Be having the midterm elections, the 2019 midterm elections. And in connection therewith, I'd like to share the qualities or the requirements, the qualifications that I consider in selecting the candidates that I will vote in the forthcoming elections. Although there are different qualifications set forth in the Philippine Constitution and in the local government code, these qualifications seem inadequate to ensure that these candidates will really serve the best interest of the people. Public service is a public trust that is pursuant to the Philippine Constitution. But sadly, we've been having elections every 3 years. But if you will look at the state of our country, we're still far left behind by our Asian neighbors. So it's very, very important that we really examine the qualifications of the candidates before finally deciding to include them in our ballot. I think one of the most significant qualifications that we have to consider is track record. But sadly, there are voters who don't even look at the track record, who would just consider the personality or popularity of the candidate. For me, the track record is very, very important because it speaks of the kind of leaders that we shall have if in case they will get elected. Track record does not only speak of their capabilities but their heart for service. That is why I'd like to really put emphasis on really considering track record before opting to elect a particular candidate. And I think another qualification that we have to consider is also the fitness, the emotional, physical, and mental fitness. In fact, there are certain provisions in the Constitution that give importance to the emotional and mental fitness of a particular person before enabling him to run for office, especially for higher office. Why? Because if we will elect people who are unfit, then we are putting the future of the people, of our children, at risk. What if we vote candidates who are emotionally unfit to serve? What if we vote candidates who are also physically unfit? What if in the middle of the term they get sick or they die? What would happen to the office? Well, although we have rules and succession, it is so very, very important to have continuity in service. That is why I think it's very, very important as well to consider the mental, emotional, and physical fitness of a candidate in selecting them for any particular position that they run for. Thirdly, I think another very important quality as well is smarts. It would be really proper to elect people who have the brains. That's why in Singapore and other Asian countries, they really consider the smarts. That's why they have this meritocracy. In selecting their leaders, they consider not just the track record, but the ability of a candidate. The ability to address problems, the ability to think strategically, especially when confronted with emergencies and problems. Hence, it is but fitting to consider smarts in selecting the candidates. If I will be asked, I will choose smarts over popularity. Because for me, popularity does not matter. Sadly, in the Philippines, most voters actually put popularity as one of the most important qualifications of a candidate, which for me is just out of this world. Something that has to be corrected. And in addition, I think another quality is that the candidate should be trustworthy. Someone who can be trusted with, not just with the welfare of the people, but someone who can be trusted with the resources of the government. Take note, the resources of the government come from taxpayers' money. And so it is but proper to always account for them. Okay, everything should be well accounted for, considering that these resources actually come from the pocket of the taxpayers. Lastly, I think another very, very important qualification is honesty. That's why I remember when Mayor Sara Duterte made mention that it is not considered honesty in selecting the candidates to vote in the election, but for me, honesty is very, very critical. Why? It's always a matter of honesty in dealing with problems and coming up with solutions, and in addressing national problems and in addressing emergencies. It all boils down to honesty, especially when it comes to proper utilizing the resources of the government. Take note, in the Philippines, corruption has been a perennial problem. It's been there for quite some time, and we seem not ready, or the problem seems not to go away. It's been there, it is still there, and will remain a problem if if it will not be addressed. Problem is, many voters do not even consider the honesty of the candidates. Even if a particular candidate has a record of being dishonest, they still vote for the candidate. Why? Simply because election in the Philippines is a matter of personality. We don't consider track record, but rather personality and popularity. That is why in the Philippines, the famous are those who usually win. And that is a problem that has to be corrected. If we want to change the status, the economic status of our country, I think it's high time for us to consider these very critical qualities or qualifications before we elect these people to run the government.
So that's the 5 steps in choosing a right candidate and some opinions of our fellow voters.